We had a walk-off home run by Shohei Ohtani, second walk-off of the year for Ohtani. Guys, let's just get into the Dodgers and the fact that they are literally undefeated and just won the World Series. I mean,
Let's call them the Forgers. They're 8-0 because of their talent. There's no question their talent is there. We all know what Shohei Ohtani is. This guy is an MVP every single year. He's always on that ballot. The Dodgers are expected to win in the National League. I don't think you can argue that if they stay healthy, they're almost unbeatable. Their pitching looks really, really good. Their relief pitching is one of the best right now in the first 8 games of the season. They're 8-0 for a reason because of that Forgers. That's what they are. Their forgery and their stealing always works. And that's why they're going to be contenders all season long.
You can call them whatever you want, but the game's not played on paper. Yes, they have talent, but that doesn't mean you always win. They bought it again and so on and so forth. But let's have the conversation at the end of the year and see where they're at. And that's really all I'm going to say about that. It's been fun to see. Never thought the Braves would be 0-for on the other side, but talk about the Padres. The Padres are undefeated. They're in the same division.
Told you about the Padres, by the way.
They'll fall off. Don't worry.
I'll remember you said that.
Keep it in mind, guys, the last time a team has repeated is the Yankees in 98, 99, 2000.
Yep.
So it's been literally that long since there's been a repeat champ. It looks like odds-on favorites say the Dodgers should be doing it. They have a payroll that's, with the deferred money, phony baloney, they have about 100 to 150 million on the next closest team in payroll.
Right.
That's kind of ridiculous. And it's not surprising that they're stacked. Well, there's some flaws. Not every team's perfect. Roki Sasaki can't find the plate. They're talking he's got about 9 walks and 2 starts and like 4 innings.
I felt bad for him because you could tell how much he cared, like when he got pulled after 5 walks. That is a crappy feeling. Like, I've been there before. Like,
thank God.
It sucks.
Thank God the Yankees didn't bring him in. Oh my God! Could you imagine the New York?
That's the guy they brought in.
Could you imagine the New York fans taking shots at him? Oh my God!
He's still a kid too.
Remember Arabu?
Yeah, Steinbrenner hated him for whatever
they brought
reason.
him in and everybody was like, this guy's the next big thing. Oh, man, what a bust. So he couldn't handle New York. Couldn't.
God rest his soul.
We got a few big contract extensions that came down today. I'm going to read them off to you. Ketel Marte, 6-year extension, which is going to bring his deal. It replaces a 5-year 76. He now gets 116.5 over 6 years. Red Sox and rookie Christian Campbell have a long extension. It's an 8-year extension worth up to $60 million, trying to lock him up and buy some of those arbitration years back. And the Padres are going to extend Jackson Merrill for 9 years, $135. Merrill was phenomenal last year as a rookie. Talk about some of these big contract extensions to younger guys. Marte's not as young, but really had his first big season in the last couple of years, and last year was incredible.
I think it's genius because you kind of look and see what the Braves did. The Braves got all these young guys, and now it's able to pay guys later because you get them for cheaper, but they have stability, and you get them. Christian Campbell, he really hasn't really shown anything, but he's 21 years old, and you got him. You're going to still have him in the prime, and he's going to grow, but you have control of it. And then, with Jackson Merrill, the same thing. He's 22. So, granted, his is a little bit, but he's still going to be in early 30s. Now, if he goes into free agency at 20, it would be 26. That maybe is going to cost him another $200 million. And you've seen what the Braves have done. And Ketel Marte, he's 30. He's been consistent, but had a really great year. But I think it's genius. Like, why the Orioles aren't wrapping up like Adley Rutschman and getting it done and out of the way makes zero sense to me. Because if I know I'm 21, 22 years old, and I get a 7-8 year deal, and then I can put the bag in my pocket already, I have the opportunity to go sign another 6-year for another $200 million or whatever the market is created at that point. So I would 100%, if it was presented to me, think about it in that thing, because it's like, okay, this is guaranteed cheese. Like, this is in the bag, I'm going, and I'm going to have another opportunity to sign another big one. But I'm going to be financially stable and not have to worry about arbitration, free agency, and going through all that. So I love these signings. I love, like, obviously 2 of the 3 are very young kids, and happy for them. And, then you'll see how it affects a player's mentality, because it's like, Now you don't have to worry about it. And I think Ketel Marte's a great player, so I think they're all great signs. But I love the early signs. Even if Merrill obviously proved it last year, and then you got Christian Campbell who's coming in. Why his contract obviously a lot lower than Merrill's was because Merrill's proved it. But I'd take them both in a heartbeat, being 21 and 22 years old. I love it.
I'll look at it a different way. I look at it as they're young kids and they have a chance to go to free agency at young ages. Christian, if Christian Campbell is sitting there at 22, at the age of 26, 27, he's probably a free agent, and he's going to get himself, just like Juan Soto, if he proves himself, he's going to make himself $400-500 million. He's one of the best prospects the Red Sox have had in a very, very long time. Yes, he hasn't proved himself, but look, Soto bet on himself. So these guys, if they believe in their talent, bet on yourself. I agree with you, Joba. You go for the sure thing, but you always sit there and you wonder what their agents are saying or what they're trying to do for their families instead of looking out at the big picture. Soto believed in his talent. Soto sat back and said, you know what? I'm going to buy into whatever anybody's. When I go to arbitration, I'm going to make the most money because I'm the best player on the field. As he did last year, he made $30 million in arbitration for the New York Yankees, which was the highest arbitration deal in baseball history. If you believe in yourself, you sit back. Look at Acuna. I mean, now you're sitting here right now, and Acuna might never play baseball at the top of his game again. So maybe that was a good deal for Acuna because he might never be at the top end of his game because the guy can't stay healthy. How many knee injuries?
But that's also the other aspect of it too. Is like I get my bag and I'm good, and God forbid something happens. Like I don't wish that upon anybody. 2 ACLs, but it's very common. So once you do one, you do the other. And I mean, even my son's girlfriend, she did back-to-back years on both her ACLs. So it stinks, but he's already signed. His money's guaranteed. They were baseball injuries. He's getting paid no matter what. So
no, I got you.
About it
I got you.
Yeah, no, but I'm agreeing with you at that, and it could be. But then, like you said, for Acuna, that could be great if he could never, come back and be the Acuna that he is because he already got the bag.
I'm looking at it a different way.
I've been calling for this. I'm with you, Joba, that teams should be copying the Braves model, and this is the Braves model. Lock these guys up, buy out their arbitration years, give them the bag. And it's not the biggest bag. If you wait, you're going to pay them twice as much. I mean, Ozzie Albies has been making $5 million a year for the last 7 years or something like that from the Braves. And, that guy would have gotten triple easy, on that contract, despite his injuries that he's had. So, it's a great move by a franchise. It helps young players. It's good for the system they have it. Giancarlo Stanton's bilateral elbow injury might be related to him swinging the torpedo bats. He was using them last year, actually.
Stop with the stuff,
So
man.
that he refuses to blame the elbows on the torpedo bats. But it does raise the question. It's a different type of, center of gravity, center of mass that you're swinging. Can it lead to some injuries in certain weird ways that we've never seen before?
This is a horrible.
Errol.
I don't think it had anything to do with the torpedo bats, that his elbows are completely done. I mean, the guy can't stay healthy. I mean, stop working out as hard as you do. I mean, you're in the gym, you're bench pressing. I mean, I've heard he was benching like 320 or 325 last year when he's in the gym. That puts pressure on your elbows. That puts pressure on your shoulders. This is a guy that's a beast in the gym. He's in and out of the gym 2-3 times a day. It had nothing to do with the torpedo bats. This is ridiculous. And the fact that people are sitting here thinking that Giancarlo Stanton's injuries had something to do with that tells me how dumb you really are. It had nothing to do with the torpedo bats. Keep this out of the craziness of what's going on right now in baseball. Everybody's going to blame the torpedo and the Yankees are cheating. Why? Because the Yankees are 4 or 5-0. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely redundant from what the Yankees are doing right now. It's called, they're playing in a small ballpark and they got a better lineup than they did last year. And Giancarlo Stanton's injuries really stem to his career and craziness in the gym. And that's the facts.
Father Time never loses. Unless you're cheating. He's been doing it for a long time, and he's been a specimen for most of his career. Everybody knows it. It's not a secret, like a freak of nature. And when that happens, sometimes it's just, you break down. It's the same thing. If the Dodgers win, you're going to be like, oh, they paid for it. Yeah, you still got to go hit. You're going to blame the torpedo bat if they're hitting homers. You still got to put bat on the ball. So there's always going to be something. But the fact that you could think, Yeah, there's no chance. It's absolutely asinine to think that you think these bilateral elbows, like, has he not been hurt for what, the most part of his career at some point every year? You can't pull fat. He doesn't have any.
I remember watching John Kruk swing a bat. The guy was a really good hitter. That guy did not get hurt like this. And that guy was very much not in great shape, to put it nicely, like at different points in his career. The guy wasn't in great shape, and he would stay healthier than Giancarlo Stanton. There are not guys that look like Giancarlo Stanton all around the league. They don't look like him because that's not the type of body that holds up to 162 games playing this game where
They
it's
just need him for the
starting
playoffs anyways. Just wait, let him play in the playoffs.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it too.
Yeah.
Just
But
let
they
him play.
did the same thing. It was crazy when I was in Andrews Institute. It's the same thing they said about RG3 and why he would always get hurt, pull his hamstring and everything, because he didn't have enough body fat to succumb to the pressure of getting hit and doing everything. That dude was an anatomy chart. It was unbelievable. And so it's like when you're wound that tight, it's tough. Like when you're going through it, I could care less if he comes back after the All-Star break and gets 100 ABs and he's ready for the playoffs. I'm fine with that either way, but it ain't because he's swinging a torpedo bat.
All right, last story, guys. We are going to get into a Mets story. Sean Manaea, the hope for the rotation, which is not really the most stacked, to put it nicely, had a major setback in his rehab from injury. He will be shut down for the next bunch of weeks. They're not expecting him back for a couple of months. I think it was like a lat or something like that he pulled this time in his recovery. Not looking good for the Mets pitching staff.
Here's what I'm going to say about the Mets right now. The Mets better hope that their secondary pitching finds the strike zone, because if they don't, this team is going to go down, and they're going to go down in flames a lot quicker and a lot sooner than later. I mean, I don't know. As good as their lineup is, their lineup hasn't showed much, okay? And I think that they're going to have problems pitching all season long. I don't think they're going to be able to compete with some of the teams in the National League. The teams in their division right now, even though the Braves aren't playing very well, the Braves were a second-half team last year. The Mets need to figure out how to move forward in their division, not think that, hey, in the second half like we did last year, we can get hot and we can sneak into the playoffs and make another run. It's not that easy. Sean Manaea was one of the reasons why their pitching staff stayed whole all season last year and why he got that contract, that 3-year extension. I think losing Sean Manaea is a big loss, and this is going to affect him. It's not like the Yankees. They lost Garrett Cole. The Yankees still have pitchers. They still have, they should have went after Max Fried in the offseason. They should have put all their eggs in that basket instead of the Soto basket. I think the Mets are going to really regret they didn't.
It's weird, too, because my son just got a PRP injection, too. So, like, I never had one. I'm learning about it, too. So it'll be interesting to see, the bounce back. And obviously, with an 18-year-old kid compared to Sean Manaea and what he's going to be. But we talked about this. I don't think they spent enough on pitching. I don't think they did. There's going to have to be people that step up in more ways than one on the pitching side, and that may be bringing somebody up from AAA that you're taking a chance on because he's having a good first couple weeks. But their season obviously starts later, so you don't really ever know. It's going to hurt them a lot more than they think it is. Not the greatest pitcher. He's obviously very, very good, but I still think it's going to hurt them in the long run that they didn't spend more money on the pitching side to create some depth, or you go out and make a trade and see what happens.
Senga's your ace, I guess, right? And you got
at this point,
Tyler McGill, your number 2 pitcher.
I like him, though.
I like Peterson.
That's fine.
I like Peterson.
Yeah. You got Peterson. You got Griffin Canning, who was like the 5th starter for the Angels on that terrible team last
and
year.
Yankees legend Clay Holmes.
Montas is hurt too. You probably ain't seen him. And Clay Holmes, like you said, Speedy, Clay Holmes was, lost the closer job for the Yankees last year. That's who Clay Holmes is, and they're turning him into a starter. That doesn't scream like a team that's going to compete with anyone in that division.